Hello, my darlings. I am still in the business of making sure that you and I come together to strategize on how we can make our dear country better. I am talking about Nigeria. So, if you have been in Nigeria, at the very least, even if you're a Gen Z, you already are aware of the situation of the political sector of Nigeria. And to be honest, it hasn't been palatable, especially in recent times. And I really do see the need for a formidable community of people to come together to strategize on how to move forward. So I'm still in that business and I have some thoughts to share with you today. And I really hope that it helps someone on the journey of making sure that Nigeria is better. Recently, there's a video that has gone viral of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, in a conversation with a clergyman. I believe that would be Bishop David Oyedepo, a famous clergyman, in what appears to be or sound like him solicited the candidate now, or former candidate. Well, I think he still thinks that he is one. Soliciting for some sort of assistance, intervention, or a show of solidarity of some sort. But because it's a religious setting and the nature of that conversation, a lot of people have come out to say, oh, that sounds very inciting. That sounds like this man is priming some form of, chaos, because, religion in Nigeria is such a fragile part of our beloved country that you don't want to quite, trample upon just because of the sensitive nature of the country. It really can spark anything. So a lot of people have been going back and forth about it. A lot of people have been saying, all sorts. But for me, it is not. Of course, there are the set of people who are also wondering about the authenticity of the video in the audio, in the first place, of the conversation in the first place. Some people say it is doctored. Other people say, oh, it's probably some sort of strategy by the opposition parties to cause whatever the definition of what they say is really. But for me as a person, I want to suggest to you that we look at this from a different perspective. That while it may be true that the audio may be doctored, it may be true it wasn't doctored, it may be true that the conversation happened or not, that really is not my major or primary point of focus. My point of focus is sometimes we need to begin to look at not just the actors in the game or the players in the game, but the policies behind the game and the integrity of the actors in the game. Why am I saying this? I believe that we have focused for so long on the actors in Nigerian politics that we ignore a critical part that forms the rules and the guide by which the actors achieve their game in the first place. If that audio was doctored, then it goes a long way to show you that we are dealing with people who lack integrity, people who can go the extra mile just to make sure that they determine or influence the narrative of the public. If that audio wasn't doctored, however, it also goes forward to show the integrity of the people some people have died for, some people are willing to still die for, some people are putting their life on hold for. It goes a long way to show and speak about integrity, the nature, the capability of a lot of actors in Nigeria's politics today. So regardless of how you look at it, there is a question mark on the players in the field. The average Nigerian needs to understand that for the most parts of the actors in Nigerian politics is entirely a game for them. And so they would use anything to influence you, which is the technique that has been used all these years. And the earlier people begin to realize it, acknowledge it, call it what it is, then we can now begin to talk about steps for dealing with it. Because as far as we don't realize that this is a weapon that has been used for so many years, we will not be able to develop strategies to deal with this weapon or a counter weapon. Do you understand what I'm saying? Well, I will never get a response. I don't even know why I'm asking, but okay, right? Now, some people wanted to purge their heart out because a presidential candidate cried during campaigns, during a press session, press session. And when I looked at it, I smiled. Sentimental or emotional as that may appear, I still remember candidates from years ago who have cried as well. Sometimes you need to recognize strategy for strategy. You need to recognize steps as what they are. If people are manipulating you and using your emotions, you need to recognize it for what it is. And that is why that audio that's viral, whether it is true or not, regardless, the players involved, whether the ones accused, suspected, or what have you, either ways, it is an attempt and a bid to influence you to incite your emotions, to use it to an advantage for a private purpose. And regardless, that is no quality for the best of leaders either. As far as rigging goes in Nigeria's election, let me just quickly say that I hope that you listening to me today would have your eyes open by the end of this video. Because I'm in the business of, first of all, pointing out the things and the areas that we need to realize them for what they truly are so that we can work out a way out of them. As far as rigging goes in the just concluded Nigeria's election, let me inform you, in case you don't know yet, that every party involved, especially in the forefront of that election, attempted rigging. Is that newsflash? To some of you, maybe. To some of you, maybe not. As far as rigging goes, all of them attempted rigging. But I guess the craftiest or the most lucky got away with it. So in case rigging as per which man won is your yardstick for being sentimentally attached to a candidate or not, you are still getting it wrong. You are still getting it wrong. And these people are still banking on you getting it wrong, on you being emotional about your decisions, on you being emotional about your approach. I mean, a lot of people are saying, I am never going to vote again. It's a waste of my time. If you don't vote again, how does that change the narrative? How does that secure a future for your young ones? How does that secure a future for your children? How does that make Nigeria any better? You have to vote. The only thing is we need to change our approach. We need to recognize these people's games. We need to understand the weapons that they use and cripple those weapons so that we'll be able to influence and redefine the trajectory of politics as we have come to know it. And that is why I insist that we need to look beyond just the characters and the players, down to the details behind the characters and the players. What enhances them? What gives them room? What enables them to get away with these tricks when they do it, with these games when they play it? I'll give you another instance. Yakubu Mahmood, who is currently the INEC chairman in Nigeria, he has been accused of a lot of things, and to be honest, his performance hasn't been great. Let's be honest, because a lot of people, including myself, had really high hopes for this election, just concluded Nigeria's election. But he seemed to have failed, so a lot of people are questioning his integrity. A lot of people are saying, oh, you told us one thing, but you did another thing. But let me quickly draw your attention, ladies and gentlemen, that whether or not the man's integrity is in question, fine and good, but there is another part that you're not looking at, which is the fact that the policies that these people are supposed to work with in the first place as actors, there are loopholes in these policies, and we need to begin to question those policies. We need to begin to call for reformation of these policies, for them to hold them accountable, for those policies to hold them accountable in the first place. I will tell you why. I was part of the representatives of political parties that attended the training of the trainers for polling agents. So INEC conducted a training for the political party representatives who are supposed to train party polling agents. And beautiful, wonderful presentation and training sessions and excellent trainers and all of that. But I would tell you what, they told us a lot of things, a lot of laws, a lot of rules contained in the Electoral Act. And they moved a step further by telling us the consequences of breaking laws and breaking rules contained in the Electoral Act. Should anybody who is supposed to be a participant in the election on that day break the rule. But one thing a lot of us left that training for as long as it lasted, one thing we kept asking ourselves was, and literally asked the INEC representatives on ground, that there isn't any law in place that checkmates if INEC itself breaks its own law. We asked that question. So if INEC breaks its own rules and its own laws, there is nothing that says this is the punishment or this is the consequence. Why? We never got an answer. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this to you, that if contained in laws is the absence of deterrence, that means we're invariably saying that the players, key actors in Nigerian politics can do certain things and get away with it. Because I believe that at the crux and the heart of the matters and the issues that people have been raising since the presidential election and the just concluded elections in Nigeria, the heart and the crux of that matter would be a lot of people questioning, oh, this was not done right, so then what should be done? Guess what? Almost nothing. Yeah, so just about nothing can be done. And my son just woke up, guys, so y'all are going to have to excuse me because we have to do this video together. That's what it means. Okay, so just about nothing can be done. Because it means that I can break my own rule, and because there is no law that says I can't do that, then I can go ahead and do it. And that is why I'm saying that it is very important, it is critical for us to begin to look at the policies and how we can influence those policies in the first place to be able to create deterrence for these things from repeating themselves. We need to begin to call for reformation of these laws. We need to begin to call for reformation of these policies. It is critical, it is very important, because if there is a deterrent law embedded in the laws, then at the very least we can push for, oh, if you don't follow through with what you promised the average Nigerian, this and that should happen. Quick example again, same Nigeria. The executive arm of government can decide to just not work with the judiciary, not carry out the laws of the judiciary, and nobody is supposed to be above the law. A lot of people have been talking about how President Muhammadu Buhari didn't listen to Supreme Court's rule on, the currency note saga that happened just before the election. But guess what? Nothing. It's almost as if there is an issue with our balance of power. And balance of power is supposed to be the heart of democracy, where nobody is autonomous, has autonomous power. This balance, this legislative arm of government, the judicial arm of government, and the executive arm of government are supposed to coexist so that they'll be able to checkmate each other. But whereby nobody's supposed to be above the law, but a law can be given and then it can be overridden and nothing is done about it, then we need to begin to draw our attention to how these policies are being executed, how they are being formed, what are the nitty-gritties of these laws that are working against the better interest of the average citizen. We need to begin to pay attention to those, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, we would allow these actors and these players to get away with whatever they are doing, and there is nothing we can do about it, because you know what? We can protest all we want, people can go out on the streets, and that is why protests have not yielded so much. Because people are out there protesting, but then nobody is listening because it's not influencing anything. People just lose their lives on the streets of Nigeria for nothing. It is not yielding anything. It is not influencing anything. It is not changing anything. We need to begin to look at these areas and know exactly what we're doing about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I made this video today to tell you and challenge you listening to me that we need to come together and build a formidable community that understands the problems of Nigeria and are willing to dissect it and are willing to come out and draft strategies, come together as a force and continue to push for the right things to be done. But it definitely begins from understanding the problem and calling it what it is. Just because a state actor or political actor is excellent at whipping up sentiment does not make them the better candidate. Just because they're excellent at either doctoring or rigging or this or that does not make them the better candidate. Policies that are being made that are not exactly in the best interest of the average Nigerian are not the best way forward. And we must come together and identify it for what it is and decide that we're going to work together to redefine the trajectory of Nigeria's politics so that it can be better for you and I tomorrow, our future, and our children. And so that's it for now. Really, if this is the first time that you're coming across this channel, I would really love for you to subscribe so that we can stick together and talk about these issues. I'm looking forward towards a time really soon when, we can come on live and really discuss together, talk together. I would love to see your comments in the comment section, just because I feel this is a subject that, involves you and I, involves all of us, and all of us have something to contribute to it. What are your ideas? What do you think we should do? What do you think we can do moving forward? How do you think we can form a formidable community that can contend with the narrative of politics as we've come to know it right now? What do you think we should do? I'd love to get your comments. I'd love for us to work together. And until next time, ciao. Bye. And wait, if you've been a part of this channel, thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you so much for deciding that you want to be part of the working force that creates a new Nigeria. And I love you really from the bottom of